it's been a little bit. It's been since the summer or spring. I can't even remember how long it's been since I've done an overview video. But today I'm doing the developer playthrough. I'll be going through most of the dungeon. I'll be showing off spells. Um, at the end, I'll have a little surprise, and at the very, very end, the part that I won't be offended if you click away for, I'll probably be a little bit technical as to why it's taken so long to show steady progress. I'll be playing on my laptop with a keyboard and mouse, not a controller, because I'm using a development build. Actually, right now, I'm not even in the island area, so I need to change that real quick. Island 0. This is the game, so it may be a little laggy. Again, I apologize. I'm running a lot of developer stuff in the background, which I will get into in a bit. Um, but this is Savior. This is the dungeon build. This is the game itself. Um, so I'll go through the island, the dungeons, because when you think about it, that area is kind of like two different areas. You'll see here there's a sign, travel to island is strictly prohibited. Do not go there under any circumstances. Well, that's the next area, so I'm going to go there. This is the first enemy. It moves really slowly, and if you run too far away, then it will stop moving, and it's one hit to defeat. It provides about 2 materials upon its death. You'll notice that a lot of the forest area, you're just going to see trees, chests here and there. So you can go around and open those, but it's very open. It's a 3x5 environment, so no, it's width and then height, right? So it's 5x3, and that is in terms of screens. You'll find that there are some homes left over, so clearly something was here. It's just a matter of what was here. Um, as for what that was, I guess it's up to everyone to speculate about. There are more trees, there are more mushrooms. The further that you get closer to the center, the more enemies and trees that you will encounter. I'm actually going to go down and I'll go through the main center of the island because that's where everything mostly is. So you can see here there's a Sturzonian camp ahead. Sturzonia is, if you look on the map here, they are over on this side, not here, this is like the Tilmil's thing. But if you cut the main continent in half, this is Thurzonia, this is mostly Negatarian Empire. Minus this little bit here, they lost that in the war. We'll take out that enemy there, that enemy there. And as you can see, we've come across this main little area, the homes of former Sturzonian camps, chests, all that fun stuff. We can mostly just travel through this. So I'm going to take out that guy. I'm really building up the materials, 41. So as you can see, this is the 4th ancient module. You interact with it, you get health. When I interact with it, even though these trees are in the way, because I'm doing it out of sequence, so I will just... Anyway, you're going to walk into the dungeon, and then it all begins. So, the dungeons, the reason why this took so long, and I'll get more into this later, is because the dungeons have to render an insane amount of enemies. The enemy count for the entire game doubled after the dungeons were implemented. It was crazy. Next we have our second enemy. This is the bean, as you can see, because my developer scripts are running in the background because it's slowing down the game. You can kind of make the guy do a little dance. This is the bean enemy. He has a lot of health and is the main enemy for the dungeon. You'll find them as well as the mushrooms. They provide a nice bit of material, but it is random. It's 0 to 4. Let's see if I can get some from them. No, still none. Oh well, I guess I'm just not lucky today. But you will mostly find these guys in the dungeons because this is the first room of them. You know, you won't find nearly as many, of course. Let's go up a bit further. You'll also find the mushrooms in here. as well as the green beans, you'll probably find mushrooms surrounding them as kind of a support enemy. Now, you don't, of course, have to take them out unless you're in range, but for the most part, that's going to be really hard to do. This is another area of the dungeon, and as you can see, there are many more enemies. Over here, if you fight your way through, because these are support enemies, you don't have to go this way. But it will often find chests with loot. Quite a bit there, with the mushrooms providing around 2. Got quite a bit from that chest. Mushrooms are one hit with almost every weapon, so you don't have to worry about not being powerful enough to get to the island. But you do have to worry about being powerful enough to take out these enemies. If you're going in here with a knife, the mushrooms aren't going to take you out, but the beans definitely will. Alright, let's go up a little bit more. As you can see, 3 chests this time. Of course, you can only open them once. Real shame. Let's go a little further. I'm starting to run a little bit low on health. And as you can see, I'm finding a lot more beans the further I go through, with a lot more mushrooms, kind of just to get on my nerves. Here, as you can see, beans supporting mushrooms around. Mushroom. I must be getting close to the next room, yes. Oftentimes you can tell because it's a thin corridor. So as you can see, we have another open room, this time with a lot more beans in it. And not a whole lot of health. So I think this room I'm going to go through with spells. Alright, so before I progress, as you can see, I'm running low on health, but spells provide an option to help you out in a battle, specifically if you're running through a dungeon like I am. On controller, it's different, so I'm going to use this instead. On PC, obviously, if you hold down Q, you'll see the sword. WAS and D is to move, or the arrow keys, up to your preference. Z does nothing, X and C swing the sword. But one key that is accessible, the E key, doesn't do anything. So, if you use the I and O keys, you'll cycle through the different spells, and O goes to the right, I goes to the left, same way they're situated on the keyboard, and you press E, then you'll use them. So I'll use the one that I need the most right now, which is the heart. If I press E, then I will use the spell that was active, in which case it was the heart, and it healed me all the way. And they are powerful, so instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of round them up, and then I'm going to use the Hellfire spell. It shoots 4 fireballs in each direction, and it goes for forever. So they won't fade out, they won't do anything like that. It costs 3 health to use them, which is... it depends. It's one that's worth using in a pinch, or if there's a row of enemies that you see, it's a good one to use for that. And they will freeze for 7 seconds. It's a good opportunity if you're against a boss to be able to take a couple of hits. I believe I only took 1 damage, so that's 2 hearts for the ice spell. Let's reload the room full of enemies again. This is the sunbeam. It will pick a random location on screen and it will fire a beam. Now it's on screen, not in the world, so it's only what I can see. It can't be over here further up in the corner because I can't go that far. Like, I can't see that far. So it can only hit one of these 3 enemies. It can't hit any of the others. So what's best to do is probably to walk into a room full of them and then press E. As you can see, that guy got obliterated. Oh my god, there are a lot of them chasing me. Oh, as you can see, it creates a sweeping radius circle. It does have a limit. It does stop extending after a certain point. But it takes out every enemy that you would want it to take out. And it does it instantly. And it is very wide. It is very large. Of course, a 30-second cooldown, 5 health. If you use a spell on your last heart, it will not kill you. you just can't use it. If you use a spell and you don't have enough hearts, then as long as you don't have one, you can still use it. Now, there are a couple of problems, of course, when developing Savior, which of course I'm about to get into. But one thing that I want to mention, uh, there are a lot of ways that Savior can be improved, and I have to admit that I'm just one person, and there are going to be ideas that will definitely help the game that I won't think of. So for the next month, I'll be running the feature battle. For 2 weeks, starting tomorrow, you'll be able to enter a submission that you think should be in Savior. And then I'm either going to take the top 3 submissions that most people submitted, or I'm going to take the top 3 ideas that would work really well. And then for the last 2 weeks of the month, I will have those be voted on. It's the Savior feature ballot. It will be on the website tomorrow. If you're watching this on YouTube, then it will be up. Then the description will be updated for this video to have a link to the form. If you're watching this anywhere else, I'm probably just going to post it, whether that be Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. I'll just post the link. And then in about a month, I'll be able to announce the result, and then depending on how big the feature is, and I mean like a feature, like a new combat or a new enemy, something like that. Not like a whole area that would take me a month to do. Something like spells, somewhere around that ballpark. Or like maybe a side quest, something somewhat simple on paper. Although anything can be simple on paper if you dumb it down enough. As well, and if you're a YouTube viewer, then this isn't going to be any news to you. But experimentally on YouTube, I've been posting shorts, which is basically just me sitting down, staring at the camera, and being like, "Oh yeah, this is what this first area does. This is what this second area is about. This third area, that kind of thing." And I think they've been okay. So I'll start posting them on new platforms once a week, and then once all the other platforms are caught up, I'll start publishing new ones. I think I have about 4 that just need to be edited, and they don't take long. So hopefully there will be some new shorts coming your way soon. At that point, I still had facial hair, so you can definitely tell they were filmed a while ago. That is it. That's all I have. I'm going to be going over some technical stuff now, so feel free to click away. The reason why this is taking so long is because there are just a whole lot of enemies. Hang on, I'll tell you exactly now. And the problem with that is in the dungeon specifically, you have to render a lot of them, and it can be quite a bit. Hang on, I'm looking for the enemy file here. So the way that the game stores stuff, and I wish I didn't stop the recording. The way that the game saves stuff is the enemies, the enemy type, and their position are saved as one line in a text file. And then the like any other data, but that's basically what it boils down to. And this file is read every time an area loads, and usually it's pretty quick. The problem with that is that because the dungeons have to render out so many enemies at a time, like triple the amount that would be on a normal screen, it is pretty costly. And it takes time to load, so I've had to improve that. So, let me tell you exactly. Enemies, there we go. Text file. So before I started work on the 4th area, there were 251 enemies in the entire game. If you went through and you only encountered every enemy once, you only find 251 of them. That counted the bosses. After adding the dungeons and the island, there are 556 for just one area of the game, and those have to be displayed somewhere. And considering that mostly all of them are in the dungeon, considering that all of these enemies are packed into a smaller space than the 3rd area, which is pretty large. Um, I don't even think the third area could handle it. I had to rewrite a lot of the way enemies are rendered out, and a lot of the ordering, and a lot of how the file is going to be read. What is the difference in that? 256 subtract not 256, 556 subtract 250. So there were 305 enemies added since then. So there were a couple options that I had. I could have either cut like half of the enemies, or I could have found a solution. And the dungeons just weren't as good without an abundance of enemies in there. So um, I decided to do that. On top of that, I also modded, which Scratch is open source, so I modded that to read my old Python files, and it just, oh man, it was a headache. It was only really until November when I really started being able to add new rooms to the dungeons, because even though the dungeon's really half complete, it was already becoming a problem. Anyway, if you stayed through to the end, thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully, it won't be so long until the next overview video, and hopefully, I'll be able to tell you a release date soon. It's still not on Steam, and the website still doesn't have a domain, and I apologize for that. I truly, genuinely do, but I was so busy rewriting the engine that I could not look at any of that. But hopefully, you'll be able to play the game yourself soon. Of course, there are the betas on the website if you would like to play those. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching and supporting, and I'll see you all next time.